Hello, friends. Yep, it's like 10:30, and instead of going to sleep or relax, I decided to make this video, another one in the um, Elron Reads from the Spirit Doodle book, and focus on one card. So today it's card number 31, Ask. Yeah, you guys can see me. Um, Hello. I hope everybody is doing well. And this is very, of course, it's always apropos, but I'm going to tell you a story when I'm done reading the entry for card 31, which is Ask. I'm going to try and hold it so you can look at something, right? All right, so the quotes are: the soul may ask God for anything and never fail. That's Annie Dillard. The next quote is: the art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. Yeah, I like that. That's Thomas Berger. And then Stephen Hawking says, I'm just a child who has never grown up. I still keep asking these how and why questions. Occasionally, I find an answer. So if Stephen Hawking is asking questions, I think we should do the same, right? Then this is what I said about this card. Asking questions is not easy. For some, it is impossible. We might think to ourselves, who are we to ask? Or who are we to receive an answer? It takes a lot of courage for us to ask for directions, help, or advice. We live in an age in which we're expected to know everything. We have neither the patience for research nor the time for the emergence of the answers. It is difficult for us to sit with the unknown, yet we are afraid to ask for help. Some questions don't have a clear and simple answer, while others seem too complicated or subjective to even ask. Other questions might require a long and in-depth process to get to the truth, and some answers are simply beyond our reach. At one of the lowest points in my life, I wrote a letter to Spirit and asked for help with a friend's addiction. I didn't know what to do anymore and was at the end of my rope. This is a true story, by the way. This is not, of course it is, right? I had tried almost everything, from being supportive to confrontational to practicing detachment, and let me tell you, it wasn't easy. None of which helped either me or my friend. So, I wedged that letter into the bark of a tree in a park. I asked for help, a clue, a next step. A few weeks later, my friend hit rock bottom. It was the turning point that made him realize he had to stop. He has been in recovery for the last 7 years, and all I did was ask for help. This card encourages us to ask the question, will she stay? Will he leave? Will I get the job? What's the meaning of life? The asking can be done in writing or only in our minds. As long as we are open to hearing the answer, something will shift. By the sheer force of asking, we set the energy in motion. We're then asked to let the question go, to wait, to be in a space of not knowing. If a higher power wants to answer, great. And if not, at least we asked. The black circle in the drawing, to me, this part over here, the black circle in this drawing to me represents experience. The orange flames appear as spirit outside of our experience, waiting to jump in and help. Perhaps these flames signify the passion in our search of the answer. Simply by asking the question, we allow those flames to explore the unknown and to come back with an answer. The when this card comes up section says, take a piece of paper and write down the question. The answer will arrive shortly, if you allow it. Be careful to not let fear stop you for hearing the answer, and basically also from asking the question, right? Then from my guides. You will get an answer if you ask. It might not come to you in the way you expect, but it will come. Do not doubt it for 1 second. It can be difficult to admit that you don't know everything and that you don't know what to do. It takes special courage. Say that again. It takes special courage to allow Spirit to intervene. Always remember that because of your free will, Spirit cannot just jump in and start acting on your behalf, even when it would be in your best interest. You must give Spirit permission before that can happen. You have to open yourself to the answer. The purpose of your experience is learning, not just doing. Sorry about that, but I'm just going to continue, okay? The purpose of your existence, here we go. The purpose of your existence is learning, not just doing. Asking the question is the greatest leap of faith one can take. The act of asking requires that you believe in a higher level of consciousness, which can answer the question better than you. Isn't that the core issue here? From where does the answer arise? From your past experience, other people's perspective, the internet? Or does the answer arise from a higher knowledge of what is best for you at a given moment? Again, there is much more to this card than simply the act of asking. The asking puts a process in motion that allows you to connect to a higher and better perspective, which will guide you and provide information that might be missing. So then the prompt is ask Spirit for the answer. The keywords: be open, dialogue, connect to higher consciousness, be open to the answer, admitting your limitations. And I think that for me is definitely the biggest one. It's not that I think that I know everything, but I sort of feel like with my determination, I can figure most things out. And I think this card is here to remind me that sometimes it's okay to ask. The shadow aspect of this card, which I think is very important too, abdicating power, not trusting one's own experience, judgment, not considering the facts, ego thinking it already knows everything, definitely guilty of that one, fear of what might come up, and not getting the answer you want, confusion. Emotion when you get the card: restlessness, searching, incomplete. Emotion to develop: curiosity and faith. The affirmation, I like this affirmation. The act of asking is the most courageous act of them all. I ask now. Self-care activity: write a question on a piece of paper and put it in a box designated for spirit, or some people call it God boxes or God jars, whichever one works for you. As I mentioned before, sometimes I put these small notes in trees. You can also do stream of consciousness writing to allow the emergence of potential answers. And I think that's really important because the whole way, the entire way that this book was written was basically me opening my laptop and typing. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to write, and somehow just the act of putting my fingers to the keyboard, things started streaming. And I later realized that I could tap into that consciously, but at the beginning it was really, I don't want to say startling, but sort of strange. Music. It's not a long list here just because it's hard to find music that actually, definitely instrumental music, but also music with that simply asks a question. I mean, I didn't put Lionel Richie's Hello in there, but I did put Bring Him Home from Les Mis, and Papa Can You Hear Me from Yentl, and the Beatles' Help, and also a piece that I play, Ravel's Cello Sonata, Opus Postumus. Beautiful piece. And also prayers set to music. I think all of those embody aspects of this card. The yearning for an answer, or the posing of the question and waiting for the answer. I think it's a very distinctive emotion when we get to the point that we actually put the question out there. Ascending intervals are often used to depict the asking of a question. So ascending interval, ta-da, like anything that goes up. In the guides correspondences, trees, I put ash and yew tree. The animals are raven and crow. Element, air and spirit. I think all these speak for themselves. Chakra, throat. Crystals, hiddenite, selenite, celestite, danburite, kyanite, and barite. Guides, I put Jesus, Joseph from the Old Testament, Mercury, Gemini, Sages, and children have no problem asking questions. We can all learn from them. Isn't that true? And the extras, I know maybe this is a little weird, but I put in both Erin Brockovich and Spotlight, the main characters show remarkable courage when asking difficult questions. The truth, as hurtful as it might be, frees everyone involved. So I guess this card is here to remind us that it takes a lot of courage to ask. And even if it's something simple, like, what's the best course of action for me? I know we all deal with asking questions because we all deal with divination and cards, but I'm sure that other people can relate to this. I find myself a lot of times hesitating to pose the question to the cards. And I think this card is here to remind me, no. Ask the question. So here's the story. You guys ready? I guess it was about a year ago. Let me backtrack. I frequent a certain location. I'm going to not mention names just to not expose, but I frequent a spiritualist church in the area, and they have an old piano, 100-year-old piano, that is very sweet, but couldn't really handle intense playing, intense performances. But something told me, you guys know, something told me that we need to play concerts there. And my point was, well, we can only play very limited repertoire. I can put this down, right? Can only play very limited repertoire on this piano, and what's the point really? And the next thing I know, I get the message, get them a new piano. Like, with what money exactly? And I'm going to jump to the end of the story and tell you that today, in one day, we managed to raise close to $1,000. And this is after, for my birthday, we raised about $3,200. We found a piano in the area for that price point, and all I did was to ask. Now, I know it sounds maybe a little trivial or simplistic, but I had no idea that this would unfold the way it did, that people would be generous, that we will find the instrument, that then when we found the instrument, we need a little bit more money, which is why we raised some money today for the moving and some repairs that need to be made. And that people would be so quick to respond, and literally with less than 12 hours, we raised close to $1,000 for the miscellaneous expenses. Seriously, all I did was it wasn't a fast process. It took definitely probably 6 months. And there were definitely points in that process that I was not despairing, but more like, what the heck did Spirit want me to do this for? What's the point? And obviously I'm grateful for the people who donated, and I'm ecstatic that we have a new instrument there. But it's still the lesson. I guess the point of this class is to remind that the lesson was ask and see what happens, right? And yeah, I think that's it. Let me know what you have problems asking for. Leave a comment below. Since this time you didn't get to see the crystals, I'm going to show you a few. We're sitting here on the table in front of me. This is zebra jasper, and it's really lovely with all the circles, right? This is a little piece of apophyllite that I was carrying with me today. That was the crystal of the day. Apophyllite, some wisdom. This is dendrite, and I have two of them. I don't know if I showed you the other one, but this is the sister. There's a brother and a sister, and I found them when I was on tour in, I believe it was Colorado. And the story, it's a nice story, because I saw them in the store, and the two of them together were about $120, and I just felt it was an exorbitant amount at that point. And we were in the middle of tour, and I was a little distraught, so I left, I didn't get them. And then when I got back home, I was like, you stupid. Why didn't you get them? So I called them and they mailed them to me. I asked. This is a beautiful still bite. And I call her Miss Scallop because this really looks like a scallop. Right? I have a ginormous piece of Shiva Lingam here. Love this. I think it's a dude. Yeah, this is a dude. Petrified wood, which is another one of my totem crystals. I love. I don't know if you can see it's almost like somebody painted over these lines over it. It's really a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And the last one is ocean jasper. Looks like ocean, right? Also very, very beautiful. So this is the council that sits here on my table. And with that, I'm going to bid you farewell. Bye. Have a great night.